Hi there, and welcome to This Day in History for October 20th. October 20th is the 293rd day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 294th in leap years, with 72 days remaining to the end of the year. Today's word is utility. Utility means of practical use, fitness for some purpose or worth to some end. Something useful or designed for use, the state or quality of being useful. We refer to government facilities that provide water, electricity, and natural gas as public utilities. Utility is similar to the word utilize, which is basically a fancy word for use. I'd like to take a moment to mention that links to my research are included in the show notes. I ask you to go ahead and click that like button. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with others. You can do that with the link in your email or messaging or social media. And if you enjoy this work, there's a link to the series, my series of This Day in History, in the show notes. And if you're watching on YouTube, there will also be a link in the iCard. And with that, we're going to start in the year 1781, when the Patent of Toleration providing limited freedom of worship was approved in Austria on October 20th, 1781. Specifically, members of minority non-Catholic Christian faiths, such as Lutherans, Calvinists, and Eastern Orthodox, were now legally permitted to hold private religious exercises in clandestine churches. At this point, this toleration only covered non-Catholic Christians. An Edict of Tolerance for Jews was issued later on the following year. The United States Senate ratified the Louisiana Purchase on October 20th, 1803. On October 20th, 1818, the Convention of 1818 was signed between the United States and the United Kingdom. This convention settled the Canada-United States border along the 49th parallel for most of its length. This is the birthday of actor Bela Lugosi, born October 20th, 1882. He started out as a stage actor and then got into silent movies and successfully made the transition to talkies. Unfortunately, he developed severe chronic sciatica, and if you've ever suffered from sciatica, you know what I'm talking about there. Sciatica demands more or less one's constant attention to either the pain or trying to avoid pain, and he certainly did fall into that. It's hard enough to get relief from it nowadays with all of our modern education, and medical miracles can be done if it doesn't get too far away from you. But back then, I don't think they really knew what to do for it. All that to say that Mr. Lugosi became dependent upon opiates, morphine in particular, for pain relief, and eventually his dependence on pain medication interfered with his ability to work. And his active movie career fell into decline, pretty much dried up before the end of the 40s. In the 1950s then, director Ed Wood looked him up. Ed Wood was a big Bela Lugosi fan. He found Bela living in obscurity and near poverty. He wanted to give him some work. He wanted to do something for him. I guess there were several Bela Lugosi fans who were touched by his plight and went out of their way to be helpful to him. He found this surprising. Ed Wood gave him some parts, and it turns out that he ends up in the kitsch cult classic Plan 9 from Outer Space. That's been dubbed one of the worst movies ever, and Ed Wood, one of the worst directors ever, but I have put a link to Plan 9 from Outer Space, a link in the show notes for you. This movie was actually completed after Mr. Lugosi died in 1959 at the age of 73. Bela Lugosi. This is the birthday of psychologist, author, and actress Dr. Joyce Brothers, born October 20th, 1927. She won a big pot of money on the game show, The $64,000 Question, and I don't know if it was the money or that she won, because I think it was a quiz show of some sort. Maybe I need to look that up, but I'm not going to do it right now. Anyway, that allowed her to get advice columns and TV shows, and basically secured her place as a pioneer in the field of popular pop psychology. Whatever you might think about that, here you had an attractive, well-spoken woman talking about psychology and psychological matters. I think it kind of opened people up to maybe reduce some of the stigma around mental health issues. Dr. Joyce Brothers lived to the age of 85. This is the birthday of baseball great Mickey Mantle, born October 20th, 1931. His dad named him in honor of Hall of Fame catcher Mickey Cochran. Later in his life, Mickey Mantle expressed relief that his father didn't know that Cochran's real first name was Gordon, because he didn't think he'd like to be named Gordon. But I think that, whatever name we are assigned, maybe at some point we think we don't like that name, but we either get over it or we change it. No big. Mickey Mantle played his entire baseball career with the New York Yankees, was elected to the National Baseball Hall of Fame in 1974, and died in 1995 at the age of 63. The Chinese Communist Party undertook what was known as the Long March the year previous, and that Long March came to an end on October 20th, 1935. This is the birthday of humorist Louis Grizzard, born October 20th, 1946. He has quite a lengthy list of published titles, and whenever I hear his name, I think of his book, Shoot Low Boys, They're Riding Shetland Ponies. Funny guy, Louis Grizzard. He lived to the age of 47. Now, this is late enough in history that it would be unlikely that he would have died from tuberculosis, so I looked it up. He passed away due to issues around heart disease. Louis Grizzard. On October 20th, 1947, the House Un-American Activities Committee began its investigation into the communist infiltration of the Hollywood film industry, resulting in a blacklist that prevented some from working in the industry for years. On October 20th, 1973, after 14 years construction, the Sydney Opera House was officially opened by Queen Elizabeth II. And that's all I have for you today. I hope you learned something you didn't know before. I know I sure did. I always do. As always, links to my research are included in the show notes. The list to my This Day in History playlist is in the show notes as well. And if you're watching on YouTube, it'll be in the iCards up there in the corner. Thank you so much for watching. Give it a like if you enjoyed it. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Let's make sure we don't have any boo-boos in our makeup this time. Sometimes when I'm watching these later, I see a little, oh, there's a little bobble on the lipstick, or a little something or other, a little flaw in the eye makeup, and I'm not going to re-record it though. Say that again. Okay. Road noise. Can you hear that road noise? I'm about 1.5 miles or 2 miles from an interstate highway. Okay, let's see if we could just get that all the way through. Wouldn't that be awesome? That sounds like a pretty ambitious project. Okay, just leave that part out. Not the first day, but the birthday. I guess the birthday is the first day. This is what happens when you don't clean up your script. I might leave that part out. I don't know how all that's gonna go together, or if it's even gonna make it to the video. We'll just see. That's not gonna go. Yeah, we're gonna cut those out. Yeah, that'll all be laying on the cutting room floor. So I'll just do that whole thing over. That might not make it into the video, we'll see. Changing it up.